This is the Farms.com Corn Report, sponsored by Maizex Seeds. Maizex Seeds, technology you want, yield you can count on.
Dave Emery here with Maizex Seeds. I'm in a field in Chatham, Kent. Today is October 30th. Beautiful weather for harvesting. Guys are just kind of getting ready to finish up soybeans here, and they're starting to move into their corn. Corn harvest has been going on now for about 3-4 weeks. Guys that had some early corn planted are finding that their corn now is getting into that 21 to 23% moisture range in this region. And the later planted corn, which makes up probably the majority of the corn here in the Southwest region, which was planted towards the end of May, first part of June, that corn's running anywhere from 27 to 32, 33%. So moving forward, once we get out of beans into corn here, we're going to have some wet corn that we're going to have to manage through, and we're going to have to be aware of that. Our growers are going to have to be aware of that. The one thing you want to keep in mind is you're going to want to go into your fields, do a push test on your corn, see what the stalk strength is like. This year, a lot of fields, regardless of brand or hybrid, stalk strength this year is going to be a bit of a challenge in some fields. So we need to be aware of that. Moistures are going to be high, stalk strength is going to be compromised, and we have to keep an eye also on ear molds. There are some areas where there are some ear molds starting to develop, so prioritize those fields first. Make sure you get those fields off before that ear mold becomes an issue with grain quality. Another thing to watch when you're in the combines this fall is, have a look at the plant health as you're watching the corn go through the combines. If you see leaves that have a lot of black on them, that's a pretty good indication that there was some damage from a northern corn leaf blight. With that being said, moving into harvest 2014, growers should be prepared for 30% corn, high moisture corn anywhere from 27 to 32. Make sure that you set your combines to handle that type of moisture. You want to keep your harvest losses at the combine less than 1%. So make sure that you have your stripper plates and your headers set accordingly so you can manage through that wet corn, and make sure that you have your combine set properly to minimize the amount of mechanical damage to the corn that you're going to get with fines. With prioritizing your harvest, you want to make sure if your field does have ear mold issues, you want to make sure you get that off in a timely fashion before that ear mold gets out of control. So this particular field we're in here today, there's no pressure from ear mold. Areas that are going to have ear mold issues are areas where there's possibly some western bean cutworm pressure, and those fields should be targeted first for harvest. Now, the types of ear molds that we're seeing kind of show up in certain areas is Gibberella and Diplodia. So those types of ear molds, you have to be aware of what they are on the ear, and typically you'll see the ear mold start to develop at the tip and then work their way down the ear as the mold starts to progress. So make sure you get those in a timely fashion. Get that field harvested before that ear mold encompasses the majority of the ear and causes a lot of damage. So now, in areas where western bean cutworm was an issue this year, there were many folks who sprayed Coragen and other insecticides, but most farmers were using Coragen this year, and it seemed to work quite well so long as you were spraying within the proper window. So make sure to talk to your agronomist, your sales rep, and make sure next year, if you suffered western bean cutworm damage this year, make sure that you are actively scouting next year and managing that appropriately, and make sure you have the proper traits, and make sure also that you plan on having insecticide in your program if need be, if those western bean cutworms are going to be an issue. So proper scouting is the main key, and proper timing is the main key for getting effective control of the western bean cutworm. So almost every grower this year that I've spoken with has asked me, Dave, what can we expect from yields this fall as we do start to get into our corn harvest? And I can tell you it's going to be much like the soybean crop this year. We saw a lot of variability in the soybean crop. There was some average yields and there was some record yields. So the corn crop is going to be very similar to that, the very same story. We're going to see some average yields and we're going to see some extraordinary yields on a lot of farms this year. All of us here at Maizex Seeds, your trusted seed partner, have a safe harvest, and if there are any questions, any observations you would like to pass along, feel free to call your seed rep, your yield specialist, your area manager, and we'd be happy to hear from any comments that you have coming from the fields.
This has been the Farms.com Corn Report, sponsored by Maizex Seeds. Maizex Seeds, great seed, great people. Harvest the difference with Maizex.